the director and founder of Alianza for Progress, Alianza Center, and United for Progress PAC. And today is a very special day. We do a lot of things. Every first Friday we do an event. Some are big, some are less, medium. It's medium. And but we wanted to do something on the 4th of July weekend, do a picnic, and we have some special guests who arrived, and we're very honored, like Debbie Murcasel Powell, who's running for the Senate. And but I want to hand the microphone over to my great friend Nancy Rosado, who's been one of the original board members of Alianza and a huge supporter of our work. This picnic is mostly the people who work at Alianza and their families. The majority of the people that are here today are the people that work at Alianza and their extended families. And we don't often invite the extended family to our events. They're always invited, but we don't get a chance to share. We spend so much time working at Alianza, and that's sort of time away from the families, right? And so today we wanted to really hug and appreciate, give it a hot dog and a hamburger to everybody, and some fruits. It's gonna be very informal. We're just gonna say hello, and to get us started, here is Nancy Rosado, my great friend.
I'm 4'11", so most of the time people do not see me. They only know my temper and my big mouth. But the good thing about talking from down there is that you can mistakenly think it was her, it was the other one. They never think it's me. Alianza is a phenomenal organization, and the roots of it are born from the heart and soul of Marcos Vilar, who always saw a bigger vision of what we can do, of what this community could do, of how we can come together and drive things forward for the sake of unifying and possibly have the best for our community as Hispanics. And at large, because when we benefit, everybody benefits, right?
Yep.
Is y'all having a good time, by the way?
Yeah.
They treating you well? Nice, too. Just let me know, the flies are having a great time. I told you, it's okay. She's absolutely right. But there are special people in our community or within our family, our extended family, that today are present here with us today. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I have a temper. I have a nasty attitude most of the time. I'm cranky and so on. I was a cop for 25 years. I have reason to be cranky.
Right.
And I have people like this in my court.
Say it.
So I tend to be a little bit on the cranky side. It's very rare that you get me to stand up for someone else. Someone will tell you, when he was younger, I hounded him and I wanted him dead. I could have buried him. Nobody would have found him. That would have been the end of it. As he has matured, he's grown on me like fungus. And I love you too. I have a lot of hopes for his future and for us through him. And Alianza has given him a tad bit of a platform to push him forward, but I think he would have done that on his own anyway. But don't let that get to your head, because tomorrow I'll beat you up again. But with us today are I'm going to say there's two remarkable people in my book. One is sitting in the corner over there, and he's a local, and a lot of others that have a lot of respect for the Navy, even though we all know they're cheap dates for the Marines. we still have a lot of respect for them, or for him at any rate. And we're glad to have you here, and so many others of you who are here. And if I go down the list, I know I'm going to offend somebody by leaving them out, because that's how I am. But most of all, I'm kind of, when I walked in and I saw Debbie here, I fell over. Now, to get me to write you a check, you need a crowbar. I'm telling you right now, no one gets into these pockets unless I think you're going to make a big difference, and your heart and your soul and your integrity are in the right place. Integrity to me means everything. Everything. And what I have found in Debbie is exactly that. We don't have a lot of contact. We don't have a lot of, I don't chase after any politicians, not going to happen. But I watch you and I listen. And what I can tell you is that this woman is all heart, good intentions, good integrity. Her soul is in the right place. And I would stand with her anywhere. She's way too far south for me to. My family, but bottom line is, what you have here is an individual, and I'll just go down her own stuff. Her stance on everything from inflation, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, protecting the environment, and everything falls into place. And I promise you I would not stand here and say a word about it if it wasn't because it's the right place for all of us. So without any further ado, or me making a big fool of myself, I give you Debbie.
Listen, that introduction coming from you, I mean, come on, yeah. No, this is gonna go down in the books, and I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to bring you down south. I need some energy down
Talk
there
to the
too.
wife, she'll tell you.
So, no, thank you so
She needs
much,
permission.
Marcos, and your wonderful wife that every time she cooks I get really excited. Where is she?
Carol.
Carol. Thank you for the meal. Thank you for having me. And mostly thank you all for being such a bright light here in the state of Florida. Your work is being noticed not only for people across the state, but people outside of Florida are realizing what is possible here in the state because of what you did to support Tom Keene, all your hard work to flip this seat. And for Tom, thank you for stepping up and running.
Yes.
I truly mean this. It's not easy to run. It's much, much more difficult to even win some of these seats in a state that people believe we've been under control. Well, we have. But people believe because we've been under control for over 30 years that it's impossible to win. But Tom just showed what is possible when you take the time to listen to people, their concerns, to have those conversations one-on-one, and to bring your community together to make sure that they realize the power that they have in making sure that they flip the seat. So thank you, Tom, for that. And for those of you that I haven't met yet, my name is Debbie Murcasel Powell. I'm a mom. My kids are here. Where's my other child over there? My oldest couldn't come. She had to work. My husband, always driving me around when Aiden can't. I'm a mom. I'm a Latina, a very proud Latina. I'm a former congresswoman, and I'm running to defeat Rick Scott and become your next one. Has become about freedom. We have heard the other side talk so much about freedom, but truly my race is about the freedom for all of us here in the state of Florida. We have seen what extremists like Rick Scott and his allies have done to this state in taking away all of our liberties, our civil rights. They're trying to tell us who we can love, what we can teach in schools, what we can or cannot do with our own bodies. Well, let me just say, it's going to stop in November when we win this seat and we take Florida back. When I think of freedom, and we celebrate July 4th yesterday, I also think about freedom and the fight for freedom in Venezuela. As a Latina, I've been watching what's been going on in that country, and it was that courage that my mom had to leave everything behind and bring my sisters and I looking for freedom, looking for opportunities. I watched her work 12-hour shifts, wake up really early in the morning. She did all sorts of jobs at the beginning. I helped her clean houses. I remember that. She turned out to work for many years as a home health aide. I started working at the age of 15 at a donut shop at a minimum wage job, and so many people would never think that somebody like myself would be standing in front of you running as a U.S. Senate candidate, be elected to be the first South American immigrant to ever serve in the U.S. House of Representatives. But I know that if you work hard in this country, if you believe, if you have your community, right, Tom? If you have your community behind you, anything is possible. And just like in 2018, when no one thought that I could flip this seat, he was a very popular Republican incumbent, but we showed them, we beat him by 2 points, and Tom has shown also, we are going to do the same thing in 2024. We should be living in a state where every individual has the freedom to have one good paying job and be able to afford to pay for their rent, for their mortgage, for their car, for their family's groceries and medicine. Rick Scott is someone that oversaw the largest Medicare fraud in the history of this country, took $64 million of that money to buy his Senate seat. He has no idea what it's like for seniors like my mom who have to live on a fixed social security check, or for that single mom that now has to work 2 jobs just to be able to feed her children. He's someone that wrote a plan that would sunset Social Security and Medicare. He has listed in his plan that everyone should pay taxes, even those living under the poverty line. He wants to raise taxes for middle-class families across our state. We can't allow him to get back to the Senate. Now, when I talk about education, I worked at FIU for many years. I have kids. Well, my son is now in college, but my daughter's still in high school. And they're trying to tell us what history we can or cannot teach. Well, I have something to say, and I'm not going to be tired of saying this. Black history is American history, and our children deserve to learn every side of our history, including the stain in American history that was slavery, so that we learn from those mistakes and we don't make the same mistakes in the future. Now, healthcare. You know, my mom has been living with me now for a while, and I've seen her struggle with her health. She's been in and out of the hospital for the past year, and if it weren't for Medicare, I don't know where she would be. When I was in Congress, I wrote the bill to expand Medicare coverage. When I get to the Senate, I'm going to make sure that we expand Medicare coverage that would include dental and eyesight, which they're not doing right now. And we must expand Medicaid. There's a way that we can put pressure in the state so that they actually expand Medicaid so that every child has that coverage. And we can't forget that one of the biggest attacks on our freedoms right now is what they're doing to women in the state and to young women and young girls across the state. We are now living in under one of the most extreme bans on abortion, a 6-week abortion ban, a cruel ban with hardly any exceptions to rape and incest, at a time when most women don't even know that they're pregnant. This is a ban that Rick Scott proudly supports, a ban that he has said that if he were governor, he would sign into law. And actually, he would push for a national abortion ban if he gets back to the Senate. Now, I know that we have the opportunity to enshrine that law here in the state constitution with Amendment 4. We all need to come out and vote for Amendment 4, but it's not going to mean anything. If we do that, Rick Scott gets reelected and then pushes for a national abortion ban at the federal level. He now has an ad saying that he supports IVF. I don't know if anyone has seen that ad. Well, he started airing that ad the day after he voted against access to IVF. This is the fraud of a man that I'm running against. We deserve better. Florida deserves better, everyone. And last, Nancy, I met Nancy. The first time that we met was when I was doing work with Giffords. Gun violence is central to everything I do. It's very personal to me. I lost my father to gun violence. When I was 24, I got a call that my father had been shot and died because of a criminal with a gun. And it's a pain that has really bonded me with so many families here in our state. Families that lost loved ones at Pulse here in Orlando. And so many parents that lost their children at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. It's the greatest moral failure that we allow politicians like Rick Scott to absolutely nothing except protect the gun lobby while our children continue to die because of this gun violence epidemic. It's going to stop once I get back to DC, into the Senate, because I will make sure that we pass a universal background check bill and we ban assault weapons. Those are weapons of war. They don't belong in the streets. We can only do that. We can only do that if we all have the courage to stand together to make these changes. Just like my mom had the courage to leave Ecuador and come here knowing that this would be a better place for all of us. So I'm really excited. I've been all over the state. I continue to travel all over the state. I'm sure I'll be back here probably next week, Samuel, But there are so many people just like you ready for change that are organizing, that are ready to win. I have seen it in Orlando. We saw it in Jacksonville. I was in Jacksonville last week. I just came from a couple of red counties where you wouldn't believe how many Democrats were ready to make sure that we do this. And I'm a huge soccer fan. I was watching the Ecuador-Argentina game yesterday. I was in tears when we tied, and then again in tears when we lost to penalties. And I've said that Messi's the best soccer player, but yesterday he wasn't so good. But you know, just like Messi, and I bring this up all the time, and I was thinking about it last night, he can't win a game without his team working closely together, unified to score that goal for the win. And so I'm here to tell you, my commitment is to do everything to play this game until the end, to make sure that we score that goal together, but I'm going to need my team behind me. So thank you so much.
Yes.